Ooh, cool. So my name is Jaquan May, and of course I want to welcome you to the Coro 20th Anniversary Gala Leadership Awards. Can you give it up for yourselves? Like all those who put the work in for the space of time. For DJ Shoes, ladies and gentlemen, who's taking the jam for 17. So my name is Jaquan May, and I'm just here to share. I'm going to dedicate this song to a sister who is suffering with ALS right now. I just want to send my energy to her. Sister Javon Mitchell. I just want to send her energy. And yeah, that's it.
Woke up this morning with a smile on my face. Smile came from deep down in my soul with love to embrace. I turned on the TV and nothing was on but the pain and the suffering that was always on. Said we look like fools, just a spectator with phones up and guards down. Do they really hate us? Said I refuse to be blind. Said I refuse. I refuse to be blind. What I see yonder said she was 8, laying on grandma's couch later. And Trevor, he was only 17, shot down by ignorance and cruelty. Take me, should have celebrated another year. Why, my dear, do the tears come streaming down my face with anger in my heart and no words to say? I refuse to be blind, yeah. Said I refuse to be blind. Said you better take off the blinders off your mind. You better see, hey, what I see. There will be a day, there won't be no police. There will be a day when my babies are free. It's gonna come soon, hey. I'm working for that, hey. We got more than just dying black. I refuse to be blind to what fuels our hate. I refuse to be blind to what's at stake. This is more than words. Thank you.
Let's give her another big round. Good evening, MLK Mom. There's the mic. All right, awesome. I'm pleased to serve as your mistress of ceremonies this morning, this evening, this afternoon, for whoever's catching us on live streams around the world. And we are right now on live, right? So, yeah, we've got live access. I love the internet for that reason, because we never know who could be watching, right? And we also want to make sure that we recognize the hard-working folks who put this night together, all of the intention behind it. So if you could please give a round of applause for everyone behind the scenes, the big team here. Absolutely. On behalf of the Coro Center for Civic Leadership, I would like to welcome you officially to the 20th Anniversary Gala, the 12th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Awards. It's so exciting to be with you all tonight. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." As a reporter working in Memphis, Tennessee, that was several years ago, I got the chance to visit, and I want to share with you just a brief story, the National Civil Rights Museum. It's located at the Lorraine Motel. For some of you who may not have been there, it's the same site where Dr. King Jr. stood on April 4th, 1968, in his final moments. And more than 50 years since that tragic moment, we know that his legacy still lives on. He still inspires us through his words, his actions at that time, and his faith. But that is not the only reason that I visited the museum over and over again. Here's the thing. Yes, it pays tribute to the legacy of Dr. King, but it's actually devoted to the thousands of people who were behind the civil rights movement. It shines a spotlight on the many unsung heroes, the many stories, and the many unforgettable moments that build a movement. In doing so, the museum also reminded me of what I believe to be true, that leaders are not born, they are made. And that means anyone sitting in this room can show up as a leader on any given day. It's a beautiful thing. And many of you are already doing that, and it is amazing to witness, both online and offline. Like Dr. King, you're likely driven by inner values that push you to stand up in the face of adversity and be a force for good. And the way you communicate, the way you commit, and the way you believe in something inspires people around you, even if they're not telling you. Trust me. Dr. King Jr. is an incredible example of that, and so is Coro Pittsburgh. Founded in 1999, Coro Pittsburgh develops leaders who have a passion to revitalize communities. Since its founding 20 years ago, more than 2,000 individuals, can you believe that, have participated in a Coro Pittsburgh leadership program, including 35% affiliated with nonprofits, 25% from businesses, 15% from government, 15% in education, and 10% in philanthropy. And what's more, many Coro alumni are living, working, and serving right here in Pittsburgh. Give it up, give a round of applause for many of you for better that percentage that I just mentioned. I'm going to make you clap a lot tonight, okay? Just so you know, quick FYI. So you may be wondering, who's responsible for the overall leadership of an organization that's one of Pittsburgh's oldest leadership development institutions? Well, Coro Pittsburgh, it's the men and women who make up the board of directors. Please help me welcome a man who wears several hats, Coro Pittsburgh board member, presenting sponsor, and the Associate Vice President of Community Health Choices at UPMC Health Plan, Ray Prushnock. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Oh. Give it up again for Mr. KMA. That was... This is always a room with many very tough acts to follow. And, having served on the board, since 2014, I'm so glad to see all of you out here with us tonight. This is always such a wonderful evening, full of inspiration, and such a great time to get together and to reflect on what we can do as a community to further leadership. And Coro is celebrating its 20th year this year, which UPMC and UPMC Health Plan are very proud to be a part of this as a presenting sponsor. And one of the things that I think we'll keep coming back to and that connects us all and what gives me hope in the future of our country and this community are the 2,000 plus Coro program graduates here, many still in our community, and the long future ahead that we have from this authentic, inspired leadership program. Many of you who know me know that I hail from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. So today's a special day for me in more than one way. So if you saw my tie, You maybe saw I have a groundhog on there. As a matter of fact, I was at Gobbler's Knob this morning with my family, and was at the groundhog banquet last night. And growing up in a town like that, and in my 20 years since leaving that town and having spent more time away from Punxsutawney than I actually spent there at this point in my life, I was reflecting on the awards they gave last night to the Man of the Year and the Woman of the Year, and celebrating a wonderful, beautiful lady who moved to Punxsutawney as an adult. She's now in her late 70s, 58 years of community service, and thinking through sort of the shared values and the tight ties that bind small communities like that. And I was privileged to grow up in an environment like that, and thinking about how our future challenges as a society, as a community, as a nation, are going to take different types of leadership, where I think about the 8 different places I've lived since finishing college. I think about how we as a society don't always even know our neighbors, the people that we spend much of our time around. And I think about the values that tie us all together, whether it's working hard, telling the truth, being nice, giving back when you can, and the different things that enable each of us to be the authentic leader that we all can be. And I know that Coro, through the fellowship, the Allies program, will, and all of their programming really seeks to drive that type of authentic leadership, whether it's understanding yourself, your community, the institutions that shape our society, a focus on managing yourself to be a better leader and to have that self-awareness, and to really use that authentic leadership to energize others and energize your community at large. And all of that really helps make an impact. And again, that's why I'm so hopeful for our future when we have so many issues that divide us today in our country, whether it's inequality, justice, health disparities. I'm privileged to work on supporting people with disabilities and low-income elders staying independent. And I know most of the folks in this room are really driven towards some cause or another. But again, with all the challenges in front of us, again, one area where I think we all can agree, we have a lot of hope ahead with the many graduates to come through Coro Pittsburgh, and celebrating 20 years and looking forward to 20 years more. So on behalf of UPMC Health Plan, and the Coro Board, I again want to welcome you tonight to the Coro 20th anniversary and the MLK Junior Leadership Awards. And congratulations to all of the nominees tonight, and I'm looking forward to a very inspirational and powerful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Now we're moving on. I want to keep this program flowing pretty smoothly tonight. Councilman Tom Baker is a man who knows plenty about service to Pittsburgh. Councilman Baker is the past president of the Coro Pittsburgh Alumni Council, Chief Community Affairs Officer for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Pittsburgh, and County Councilman for District 1 in Allegheny County. Please give a big round of applause for Councilman Tom Baker.
Hi friends, it's great to be here. Thank you all so much for supporting Coro. Coro is actually the first thing that my wife and I got involved with when we moved back to Pittsburgh back in 2003, and it's just been an incredible journey. So I really appreciate you all being here, supporting Coro, supporting all that Sabrina and the Michaels are up to, and the incredible staff. As a county councilman, I will say I have some proclamations, but before we get to that, I just wanted to mention 2 quick stories. The first one is about me as a 24-year-old. Has anyone ever been 24 years old here? And those all been Canoe, you've been 24, Lynn, we've been 24. Next year, right? Okay, so when I was, both have been 24? Not yet. Okay, so when I was 24, my goal was to get into Coro. I was doing, I went to a pump event. Have you guys all heard of pump? I know Brian Geese heard of pump. Went to Cashman, you guys heard of pump? Or, yeah, so I've heard of pump. So I went to a pump event right when I moved back to Pittsburgh. And they said if you want to run for office someday or like get involved in the community, you should do this thing called Coro. And I was like, what does it stand for? Wait, what does it stand for? Nothing. It's its own thing. Coro doesn't need to stand for anything. It's its own thing. So I applied, and I still remember the day when I got the acceptance letter. I had gotten into Coro. So for this last week, both of them mentioned that I work at Big Brothers Big Sisters. One of my really good friends, one of my mentees, Christy John Domenico, she's applying for Will, and no pressure, Sabrina, but she applied for Will, and the application deadline is Monday, and I've been working on her resume. Like, I'm as in the weeds on this thing as I was back in 2003 when I applied. Like, I really want her to get in. She's 24, I was 24, we both are bigs. Like, I just really want her to get into the Will program. My wife, Erin, is a graduate of Will. We're the first, and I think only couple ever to be presidents of CPAC. That is true. So we both love Coro and have had so many good experiences from Coro. The other story I will share, and hopefully, I mean, that's not a lot of pressure on Christy G, for a young woman. So Christy G is applying. The other one I'll share is, and it's a lot of pressure all the time. So this is a true story. So 9 years ago, there was an article in Heinz Endowments magazine, H magazine, and it shared about the fact that two young professionals decided to stay in Pittsburgh. Literally, these two people could have gone to DC, New York, but they decided to be here in Pittsburgh. And literally it says on the first page of the article that this guy, he's kind of chubby, he's from Greenfield, but because of two things, Pittsburgh Sports League and Coro, he stayed in Pittsburgh. That guy was me. The other person profiled, it's on our phone, sweetie. Aaron took the phone, but I was going to read the article. The other person profiled in that article was the head of youth affairs for the mayor of Pittsburgh. She is now your CEO and president of Coro Pittsburgh. That's Sabrina Saunders. So Sabrina was the other person that was referenced in that article. She had very serious photo shoots. It was like as a 31/29-year-old, it was very intense. Not to age us, but I just on a county council level, I'm very proud to support Coro. Richard's like, please stop. I'm really proud to be here for Coro. It's been such a good experience. We're alums, former staff member, and Coro, I think for both of us and for all three of us, probably is in a lot of ways the reason we are still living here in Western PA. So with that, whereas founded in 1999, the Coro Center for Civic Leadership is a nonprofit, nonpartisan educational institution supported by alumni, other individuals, corporations, and foundations. Whereas Coro Pittsburgh is a part of a national network, started in San Francisco, where my little brother from Big Brothers Big Sisters, the first thing I got involved with before Coro and Pump was BBBS. My little brother lives in San Fran now. It was founded in 1942, whereas to date over 2,000 individuals have participated in Coro Pittsburgh, 35 affiliated with nonprofits, 25 from business, 15 from government, 15 in education, 10 in philanthropy. Whereas since 2006, Coro Pittsburgh has been a partner with Public Allies. I will say about a year and a half ago, I was very, very, very happy to hire a Public Allies alumni, Devin Talaferro, who is my friend. She's Devin Talaferro. She's a friend. She is a colleague at BBS, and she's the board president of the nonprofit that I started getting involved in, so I'm really proud of her. It's an AmeriCorps program that annually trains 800 nonprofit leaders nationwide. Whereas in 2019, Coro Pittsburgh is celebrating its 20th anniversary of leadership development in the region, 20 years of Coro. We're all the Coro alums. Can you just wave to me? Hi, Nicole. Hi, Whitney. Lynn, my lovely wife. Michael Walter, I see you. Okay. Okay. A lot of nice people. Now, therefore, be resolved that I'll get a county council member, in part because of Coro. Councilmember Tom Baker, do hereby congratulate Coro Center for Civic Leadership and as it celebrates its 20th anniversary, and we thank them for the dedication to meet the needs of the citizens throughout the region. So congrats to Coro. I do have proclamations for all of the finalists here tonight, and as you might have noticed in your booklets, I didn't make the final round. So to everyone beat me, Sloan, and the rest of the group, good job. The Bakers, what's the Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga movie? Both of you know it? Stars Born. So I was nominated, didn't make it. Aaron didn't make it. Ken Ball, Big Brothers Big Sisters, we didn't make it. So you guys that are finalists, Congratulations. We love you guys. Nicole, who is literally called my big sis in Pittsburgh, Sloan, who when we were 13, 14 taught me to love civics, which I guess I'm in now, so congratulations on that. So thank you guys. I'll hand out the proclamations to you all individually. Congratulations for all of your involvement. Thank you guys for loving Coro. We on behalf of the family love you guys. So congratulations.
How many of you will be 27 forever? Just curious. Yeah, I'm ready. What's that, 24? Okay. Thank you, Tom, for reminding us of how young we are. No, thank you seriously, Tom, for that awesome proclamation and for your dedication to Coro. It's truly appreciated. Coro Pittsburgh recognizes the importance of celebrating the efforts of those who make our communities obviously a better place to live. For 12 years, Coro has created a platform for people and organizations whose work is incredibly valuable, but may not always receive the the recognition that it deserves. I would now like to introduce the woman who leads this impressive organization. You just heard her name a moment ago through Tom, the president and CEO of the Coro Center for Civic Leadership, Sabrina Saunders Mosby. Please come to the stage.
Good evening. Oh, I didn't actually need my glasses. I'm feeling 27 already. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to this 20th anniversary event, as we acknowledge an amazing slate of award nominees, and we also celebrate an important milestone for Coro. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us for this special occasion. At the time of Coro's founding in 1999, Pittsburgh was a very different place. The Civic Arena was actually still standing, where many of you probably parked tonight. And the groundbreaking of the Steelers Stadium, that is now called Heinz Field, is it still Heinz Field? I drove past Peoples, and I got kind of confused with the names of things in Pittsburgh. You know how that happens. We change the names of things often. Impeachment proceedings were brought against President Bill Clinton. MySpace was introduced, and yeah, the social media before Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram in '99. And just to set you way back, I was graduating from high school.
Thanks for that.
As Pittsburgh's legendary economic base of steel and manufacturing began to shrink in the 90s, the need to recruit and retain talented leaders became vital. The Coro Pittsburgh founders believed that in order to effect positive change, they would need to cultivate a new generation of leaders and a new way of thinking. And in August of 1999, the Coro Center for Civic Leadership was brought to the city. Last month, we celebrated what would have been the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's 90th birthday. Dr. King dedicated his life to speaking out against injustice, inequality, poverty, and more. To truly honor the memory of MLK, we must first admit that his work is far from complete, and then recognize that there is no one person, or leader for that matter, who can continue the work. But it will take all of us to finally realize his dream. Dr. King reimagined America by placing racial justice at the core of our national values and conceptualizing a compassionate democracy and a capable, beloved community. His greatest legacy is his demand for an action citizenship capable of guaranteeing justice for all. But as long as there is racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hatred of immigrants, a reckless disregard for the disabled, the young, black, and unfamiliar, paying women what they're worth, and listening to our youth. Remember, it said that the youth will lead us. So let's stop telling them to wait their turn. Until these things cease to exist, King's beloved community remains but a dream deferred. Pittsburgh, Coro, we've got a lot of work to do. I know I've got hard workers in this room. And I feel so blessed and thankful for the leadership that fills this room, that fills this space, and fills our Coro family. I know that together, we can really make a dent. We can make a change. We can join together and build upon the movement that was started so many years ago. Tonight is a happy occasion. Although we have work to do, there's a lot of work that's being done. Tonight we celebrate what is great about Pittsburgh. It's people. The people are what continues to make the region a place that I always find new reasons to be proud of and proud to call home. And it's why I stay home. People and organizations like our 12 finalists tonight, we are very proud of each of your accomplishments. Like our supporters and our alumni, thank you to our wonderful supporters, our sponsors, and also all of our volunteers. We couldn't do this work without you. It was the same pride that brought me to Coro almost 2 years ago. I decided to accept an opportunity to lead the Coro Center for Civic Leadership because I wanted to be a part of this movement. I joined a movement with Esther Bush at the Urban League a long time ago. And it was her leadership that instilled the strength in me to lead on my own. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Coro Pittsburgh is a premier leadership development organization for inspiring local residents that helps them hone in on their own abilities to lead, ultimately helping to recruit and retain ethical stewards, and working to build a pipeline of ethical and diverse leadership that supports the growing workforce decline and imminent leadership turnover in southwestern Pennsylvania. Coro has a rich history, a proven methodology that has been tested over time, and evidenced through a long line of prestigious alumni. Over the past 20 years, Coro Pittsburgh, one of 5 Coro centers nationwide, has worked together with businesses, governments, and nonprofit organizations to recruit leaders who are motivated to take on new leadership roles that shape the quality of life in their communities. And guess what? Just like me, Coro is just getting started. So I want to thank you for being here tonight as we celebrate our amazing community leaders and 20 years of leadership development in Pittsburgh. So if you believe in the importance of diverse, ethical, and homegrown talent and leadership in Pittsburgh, this is when I ask you guys for money. Do me a favor and commit to making a personal investment to Coro Pittsburgh tonight. There are actually cue readers around the room and at your table. They're the blue cards right on the table. Yep, those are them. Now we've made it easy for you. If you have an Android phone or if you have an iPhone, just place that thing right in front of your photo like you're going to take a picture of it, and you automatically will be getting your process for donating to Coro. It's just that simple. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you again for being here tonight. Happy 20th.
Let's give another round of applause to the CEO for the beautiful words. So I'm curious, how many of you knew what the blue cue reader was on your table? No? How many of you now know what that is? Okay, raise your hand if you're going to donate tonight. Raise them high. Inspire somebody next to you. Raise them high. Okay. We'll get a few more by the end of the night, okay? We're going to get that. Okay, we're going to keep things moving right along. Are y'all having a good time? Just checking in. Yeah? Okay. Just want to make sure. I'm so glad I didn't have to ask for the round of applause. Now you guys are trained. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to give it to you. I love it. Okay. Well, this evening, as you know, we will recognize the unsung heroes, individuals, and organizations that make this region thrive. We will acknowledge them for their public, and a diverse selection committee had the challenging task of narrowing the more than 60 nominations to just 12 finalists who are with us tonight. Here to introduce us to the finalists and to announce tonight's winners are 4 Coro alums. First up, please help me welcome Ryan McCarthy, a 2015 Coro Public Allies Executive Fellow alum and lead analyst in global philanthropy at BNY Mellon. Please welcome Ryan McCarthy.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm lead analyst in global philanthropy over at BNY Mellon. I'm 27.
I'm so jealous.
And I'm also a proud Coro Pittsburgh and Public Allies alum. I'm from Jersey, and after I left the University of Pittsburgh in 2014, I thought I had come to a critical threshold in my personal and professional development. And I'm so glad that Coro Pittsburgh and Public Allies in tandem proved me wrong. I'm really happy that they have told me, or at least got me to understand the value of direct service, of really understanding the passion, the resilience of nonprofits, and really leveraging limited resources. And ultimately, I think giving me a sense of who I was and who I was going to become. And so I'm so proud to be here on the stage and with all of you here tonight. So it's my pleasure to introduce the finalists for the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Young Leadership Award. This award acknowledges a young leader under the age of 30 who has made significant accomplishments toward the common good by modeling Dr. King's inclusive approach to leadership. For detailed information on the accomplishments of each finalist, I would refer to your event program. Now finalists, when I call your name, please come forward. Let's start with Jenna Barron. Jenna Barron is the Executive Director of Alliance for Refugee Youth Support and Education, or ARISE. Jenna's work is informed by a belief that education and creative expression can be tools for liberation. She envisions ARISE as an international model for supporting refugee and immigrant youth in becoming engaged, confident, and celebrated members of society. Next up is Ty Clark. Pittsburgh-born publicist, events consultant, and social change agent Ty Clark is a creative powerhouse with the belief that the artistry of storytelling can change lives. For the last 2 years, she has worked for art and activist organization Women Media. Her role at One Hood allows her to further her personal mission to bring social injustice and racial inequity to the forefront. In 2017, she co-founded Coco House, a boutique consulting agency whose mission is to cultivate creatives of color to advance Pittsburgh's cultural landscape through consulting, culturally centered events, and enrichment opportunities. And Leon Ford. Leon Ford is a published author, renowned activist, nationally sought after motivational speaker, and candidate for Pittsburgh City Council, everybody. He is a survivor using his story as a tool to positively impact society. Leon is dedicated to triumphing over adversity by embracing the principles of love, compassion, and understanding. And in 2017, Pittsburgh City Paper named Leon Pittsburgher of the Year. In September of 2018, The Root named Leon Ford one of the 100 most influential African Americans in the country. Can we give a round to all three of these guys? Alrighty, and the winner of the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Young Leadership Award is Leon Ford.
Thank you. It's an honor and privilege to be here, and I'm extremely grateful to receive this award. Sometimes in life, we endure tragic circumstances, and it's natural to respond with anger and frustration. But when we have faith and we dig deep within ourselves, when we find that love within ourselves and we share it with the world, that's true leadership. And that's what Dr. King was all about. About a week ago, I watched Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. I was very inspired. Followed by that speech, I watched a video and it was titled Dr. King Nightmare. And this speech that he had, what he said was that he believes that his I Have a Dream speech was more of a nightmare. He said that he was very inspired when he gave that speech, but he believed that it was superficial optimism. And that we should be real about what we're faced with. So over 50 years later, and I believe we're still high off of that superficial optimism. And it's time for us to be real about where we are as a country. It's easy to sugarcoat some things and to talk about the dreams. And so let's not celebrate the dream, but let's celebrate the doing. Because Dr. King wasn't not only a dreamer, he was a doer. So as we gather here today, I challenge you all to do, to think about how you can pour into somebody, to think about how you can make your community better, to think about how we can work collectively to make Pittsburgh a better place for everybody. And I know we have differences, we have different races, different religions, different political beliefs. But the reality of everything is that we still have to work together. It is my hope to unify the city, to bring people together that wouldn't usually talk, wouldn't usually work together. And I challenge you all to help me do that. So again, thank you for this award. I appreciate it. This is a sign that we are actually doing the work, but let's continue to do the work. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for the powerful words of the Leadership Award winner. And I acknowledge we're taking to celebrate the doer. And to add to that, sometimes we think that everything has to be a big action, that you have to be on a big stage, that you have to be where Dr. Martin Luther King was, in front of 250,000 people. But the reality is that we can be doers with small actions as well. So just to add to those powerful words that you said, Leon, it's so true, celebrate the doer. Okay, keeping things moving right along here through our program. Now we want to welcome Lynn M. Banazak, a 2005 Coro Women in Leadership alumna and Executive Director of the Disruptive Health Technology Institute of Carnegie Mellon University. Please welcome Lynn Banazak.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening. In addition to being the Executive Director of the Disruptive Health Technology Institute at CMU, I'm also President of the Kaylee Lynn McDowell Foundation, a foundation that my family started in 2016 after my 17-year-old niece Kaylee passed away 9 days before her 18th birthday after being misdiagnosed. We're working to bring young people together in that organization to create a kinder, more equitable, and just society for all. And my role here as a proud Coro board member, an alumna of the Coro Pittsburgh Women in Leadership Program, has really served me well as I continue to try to serve the community in all of the work that I do, but also in the memory of my beautiful niece, Kaylee. When I participated in Women in Leadership, it not only helped me strengthen my leadership skills, but I became a part of a community of amazing women who are leading throughout this region. I can honestly say that years later, I was going to say years and years later, but it's been a while. I'm still connected to all of those women throughout the region and from my leadership cohort. We've supported each other through career changes, through personal tragedy, through celebrations, through heartache, and through good times. And it's really been an important underpinning of the development of my career and also a network of strong women in my life. Coro is relaunching the Women in Leadership program this spring, and thanks to a very generous donation from an alumni. Tonight, women can enter to win a $250 gift toward the program's tuition. And so there's a table in a box in the back of the room. For any women that are interested, please participate. You, as an audience, can also nominate a deserving woman to be part of the next cohort. If you have any questions, please see the Coro staff for more details, or please enter the drawing in the rear of the room. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce the finalists for the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Alumni Leadership Award. The Alumni Leadership Award acknowledges a Coro Pittsburgh alum who has made significant accomplishments towards the common good by modeling Dr. King's inclusive approach to leadership. Our first finalist in this category is Dwayne Binion. Dwayne is a multidisciplinary artist and co-executive director of True T PGH, a Pittsburgh-based organization that serves as a platform for LGBTQIA community resources, queer art, and entertainment. Dwayne has served in multiple leadership roles in the creative arts through his work at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater, where he currently works as a communications specialist. He is actively engaged within the community, serving as a mentor, and has participated in a variety of advisory boards. Dwayne is a 2014 Pittsburgh Public Ally and alum. Our next finalist is Nicole Molinaro. Nicole, who is one of the amazing women in the city, has been involved with the Women's Shelter and Center of Greater Pittsburgh for over 20 years. She was proud, and we are very proud, that she was promoted to President and CEO in August 2018. We love that. She deserved that. Nicole was a founding advisory board member of the Greater Pittsburgh Nonprofit Partnership and Girls Going Places. She serves on several community advisory committees and volunteers in the community in her spare time. Nicole is an alum of Coro's Leaders in Learning Legacy Program. And our final participant finalist tonight is Dean Richards. Dean is an individual with a passion for learning and connecting with others. He's been working with youth since age 13 and has continuously sought out opportunities to engage directly with communities through grassroots work. Participating in Coro Pittsburgh's Leaders in Learning class of 2014 allowed him to gain a deeper understanding of local educational inequities. Dean is also a two-time alumnus of Public Allies Pittsburgh classes of 2015 and 16. He spent the later part of his apprenticeship with the Black Male Leadership Development Institute and was later hired onto the staff of the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh to continue his work with the program. Let's give a big round of applause for all three of our finalists. And the winner tonight is Dwayne Binion. You may have noticed that Dwayne is not on the stage. You might have thought he was back here with me behind the podium. You could probably see the top of my head. Dwayne unfortunately learned earlier today that it was impossible for him to be here, but he recorded some remarks so that he could be with us in spirit. So let's look at the screen.
Good evening, everyone. It's Dwayne Binion, and I am extremely disappointed and sad that I cannot be there physically, but at this very moment, I am extremely humbled as well to have even been a thought and to actually receive this award. So thank you for Pittsburgh, and thank you to all those that have supported me over the years. This video and speech was obviously pre-recorded, not because I expected to win, but because as a alum of the Pittsburgh Public Allies Program, if they taught me anything, is that you should always be prepared. In 2013, at the age 27, by the act of God, I stumbled across Jessica Ruffin and Misty McKean as they did a public allies presentation at a community safe space downtown by the name of Project Silk. At this point in my life, I was at a lost stage, and I really didn't know what my next steps were. My business partner and best friend, John Easter, and I had already created True Tea Pittsburgh, which at the time was more so a experimental social project around the LGBTQIA communities of color. Not necessarily looked at as a job, but more so to fill this void and to solve the issue of this missing generation of elder queer people of color that we happen to lose due to the earlier AIDS epidemic. Now, being members of the community that we serve, we didn't necessarily always realize the impacts that we were directly having on people's lives. The genuine relationships that we were able to build with community members because we were just like them, because we understood them, and because we shared similar experiences. Unbeknownst to us, True Tea Entertainment, now True Tea PGH, would revive the Pittsburgh ballroom community, with ballroom participants near and far gravitating to us and helping to spread the word about our projects and our resource pool. It's always been very important to John and I that we were able to provide access to HIV, AIDS, STI prevention and awareness programs. And over the years, we've been able to solidify very meaningful relationships with some of Pittsburgh's most top queer-friendly health organizations around. And these are health clinics that go above and beyond to help trans women of color to receive their proper name and gender assignment on their IDs. Health organizations that provide access to PrEP, which is a pill that you can take once daily, and it helps you to prevent your risk of contracting HIV by up to 99%. The Pittsburgh Public Allies Program has helped me to find comfort in uncomfortable situations. They provided me with opportunities to understand the art of running a nonprofit. They led me to my second home at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater, which I've now been at for 5 years. And overall, they taught me that it's never too late to blossom into the true person you were born to be. Community service can be very frustrating at times, especially when you know that you can only lead a horse of water, but you can't quite make it drink. But it can also be extremely rewarding. And it's really rewarding knowing that your interactions, your creativity, and just being genuine and caring about someone has the ability to help and shape person's whole life. In 1957, in front of an audience in Montgomery, Alabama, Dr. Martin Luther King famously said, "Life's most persistent question is, what are you doing for others?" Dr. King believed that strength came from community, and I believe that together we build that community. Thank you, Coro Pittsburgh. Thank you, True Tea Pittsburgh. Thank you, Kelly Strayhorn Theater. A very special shout out to my mentors, Janera Solomon and George Lug. Very, very special shout out to my best friend and business partner, John Easter, and of course, my mother, and all of you, for without the work that you do, nothing would matter. Thank you all, and everyone have a blessed day.
Let's give her one more time and let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much.
I can feel Dwayne Binion's energy and spirit, right? He wasn't here, but that's pretty good for a recording. Do you guys feel that? You feel that? Give him a round of applause in case you catch the live stream. You notice that 27 popped up again. That must be the running number tonight. Just saying, you know. Okay. Next up, please help me welcome LaTrenda L. Sherrill, a 2010 Coro Public Allies Pittsburgh alumna who serves as lead consultant and community innovator at Pursuant. Please welcome LaTrenda L. Sherrill to the stage.
I hate standing in front of people. So I'm a 2010 Public Allies alum. I think there's a trend here, in case you haven't noticed with Public Allies alum. One of the things that I want to say about Coro and how it has affected my leadership journey, I think without Coro and without Public Allies, I wouldn't have known what I wanted to do with my life. The inaugural Public Allies Director, Ms. Sophia James, she had a way of pushing us. She had a way of getting us to get to know who we were, and again, as Dwayne said, making us uncomfortable. During the first week of Public Allies, we experienced informational interviews. We had to talk to people that did different things around the city and were these influencers in community service and in Pittsburgh. And one of those people was the CEO now of Coro, Miss Sabrina Saunders Mosley. And I met her, and I just knew, like, who is this woman? She's young, she's what, 26, young at the time. And she is, you're young now. But she was in government. And so I'm originally from Texas. You know, Coro is all about retaining leaders. I'm originally from Texas, went to Pitt. And government, local government was just never on my radar. Politics was always on my radar in Texas. Everyone talked about something happening in the world when I was in high school, middle school. I mean, it's just what we did. And so I got here and I just never knew about the possibility of working in local government. That first week in Public Allies, I met Sabrina Saunders Mosley, and, well, at the time, Sabrina Saunders. And I was like, I can do that. She's working on youth and education issues. That's my passion. I can do that. And 5 years later, I found myself working in the mayor's office on youth and education issues after meeting Sabrina. That's what this program is about. It helps you refine your leadership journey. It helps you understand what success may look like to you. You get to see leaders who reflect who you are. And I'm just so grateful for everything that Public Allies taught me. I'm still here in Pittsburgh. I've been here for 13 years now, and I think because of Public Allies, I'm still here. So I'm just gonna jump right in. It is my pleasure to introduce the finalists for the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Organizational Leadership Award. The Organizational Leadership Award acknowledges an organization with local impact that has made significant accomplishments towards the common good by modeling Dr. King's inclusive approach to leadership. For detailed information on the accomplishments of each finalist, please refer to your event program. Finalists, when I call your organization, please stand or come up. One Hood Media. One Hood Media is a collective of socially conscious artists and activists who utilize art as a means of raising awareness about social justice matters affecting people around the world. They seek to establish a platform for artistic expression and attempt to further the economic and creative advancement of artists, as well as the effective or the active engagement of diverse audiences. One Hood embraces the arts and culture as our forefathers envisioned an endeavor to provide a cosmopolitan experience. Never censoring youth in their programming, One Hood provides a safe space for youth to learn, grow, and tell their own stories. One Hood Media aims to be the vehicle that will identify, develop, and inspire those artists / activists destined to rise to the challenges we face today, and to use those talents to organize our communities for real change. All right, One Hood. All right, Focus Pittsburgh. Focus Pittsburgh, has a mission of trauma-informed community development, TICD. Revitalizing community by establishing and promoting healthy, healing micro-communities through community support, health, and well-being initiatives, and leadership development, resulting in getting people healthy enough to sustain opportunities. Through programs such as the Weekend Backpack Feeding Program, the Focus Pittsburgh Free Health Center, and TICD community-based micro-community interventions, Focus Pittsburgh is able to achieve its mission and impact the community. Focus Pittsburgh also implements a trauma response team, which takes a clinic RV to neighborhoods after homicides. Through all of these programs, the organization reaches thousands of neighbors each month. Nazareth Prep. Equity is integral to the approach of Nazareth Prep. An independent Catholic high school that strives to provide a high-quality, affordable education to a diverse student body. In a region faced with steep deficit in educational opportunities, one that disproportionately affects students of color, Nazareth Prep serves a student body that is more than 70% non-white, hailing from 35 zip codes and 15 school districts. Through tailored financial aid provided to 100% of the students, Nazareth Prep makes personalized STEM-focused college and career preparation accessible to youth of all backgrounds whose families could not otherwise afford an alternative to public school. All right. The winner is One Hood.
DJ Shoe One Hood too. Wow, definitely an honor, not just to be nominated, but particularly to win this award for the 20th anniversary of Coro, and what this means for us. For those that don't know, One Hood Media began with a study that the Heinz Endowment and Pew Center did in 2010 around how the media portrays specifically Black men. And what it found out was 90% of the time that the local media here in Pittsburgh covered Black men, that the topic was crime. And when it comes to quality of life stories of Black men, that it's less than 3%. And so we wanted to create a place where we started with telling our own stories, really feeling like, we have the technology, the data to tell our own stories, but if we allow somebody else to tell our story, then they're not going to tell it completely, and they're not going to tell it correctly. And so from that time to now, we've really developed into not only an organization that still not only helps Black boys, but Black girls and really youth of color to analyze media, but create media for ourselves and tell our own stories. Last year, we took our media program into Schumann Center, and we'll be in Schumann Center for the next 2 years, giving those young people, thanks to the Pittsburgh Foundation. We've kind of morphed and grew into this artist collective, these artists that use their talents and gifts to speak to issues of the time. And so last year as well, with the help from the Nathan Cummings Foundation and Heinz Endowment, we launched the One Hood Artivist Academy to really support artists that are using their gifts and talent to speak to these times that Leon talked about so brilliantly when he won his award. And I just want to close with a quote that I had I shared recently on Martin Luther King Day. And I had put it out and I said, this is the Dr. King that we often don't hear about. Sometimes when we talk about Dr. King, we limit him to that I have a dream time and forget about Dr. King's own evolution, where he spoke out on issues like militarism, and he spoke out about poverty and those type of issues. And Dr. King said this. He said, "A peace means keeping my mouth shut in the midst of injustice and evil. I don't want it. A peace means a willingness to be exploited economically, dominated politically, and humiliated and segregated. I don't want peace." And I say that to say that none of us should want a peace if our having peace means that some other community has to deal with violence. I shouldn't want peace if me having peace means somebody else is discriminated against us. You should look at our peace do you have peace? And so, as somebody that, I identify as Muslim. And when a Muslim greets another Muslim, we greet them with the term, Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. And so our work here in Pittsburgh is a work, although it's primarily in our community, it's a work really to bring peace to the entire city. We had a tough year last year as Pittsburgh. We need peace. We need support. We need a vision. But that all comes from all of us coming together. One Hood simply means our unity. And when we all come together in that unity, we can accomplish anything we want. That's where our power is. Thank y'all. Peace.
ladies first, so everybody look right here. Wait, one more. And last one.
Give it up for One Hood, a winner tonight. And again, this is the competition. The finalists, we know, have awesome backgrounds with their organizations and their missions. And just because you didn't win, we want to keep supporting you. You made it to this stage, and that says a lot because it's stiff competition. And I personally have enjoyed just hearing the different backgrounds, the creativity, the ideas, and how it became a vision. So keep going. If you have an idea, this is proof here tonight that it can turn into something bigger and bigger and bigger, as we just saw with One Hood. Very good. All right, now please help me welcome to the stage Greg Phillips, a recent Coro Pittsburgh Next Neighborhood Leader, Stowe Rocks alum, and manager of conferencing and teaming at the Allegheny County Department of Human Services. He's already at the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all see me on this podium? As mentioned, I am a proud alum of Coro Pittsburgh Next Neighborhood Leaders. I am honored and humbled to present this year's Martin Luther King Jr. Individual Leadership Award. It seems very appropriate that an award like this would be associated with a man like Dr. King and an organization like Coro, as they both stand for community service and leadership. I feel incredibly fortunate to have been involved with Next and have found it to be instrumental in my development as a community member, a father, and a leader. Whether it was learning how to focus my curiosity towards a singular purpose, or learning how to engage a wide variety of stakeholders around understanding and solving shared challenges, the lessons I've learned through Next continue to serve me well in my family, my community, and my place of work. I'd be remiss if I didn't specifically mention both Michael Cyber-Rose and Devonna Graham, our amazing instructors in Next, who both have been beyond generous with sharing their wisdom and guidance, and whose impact on me exceeds what they might suspect. There's much more I could say, but I'll end by simply saying thank you to Coro for the opportunity to be a part of the family. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the finalists for the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Individual Leadership Award. The Individual Leadership Award acknowledges a local leader who has made significant accomplishments towards the common good by modeling Dr. King's inclusive approach to leadership. For detailed information on the accomplishments of each finalist, please refer to your event program. Finalists, when I call your name, if you could please stand and come to the stage. First up, Kenya Boswell. Kenya Boswell is a member of BNY Mellon's Global Philanthropy Team and currently serves as president of the BNY Mellon Foundation of Southwestern Pennsylvania. Taking the helm in January of 2015, Kenya currently oversees charitable investments that support the company's philanthropic, business, and community reinvestment act objectives. In a recent success, Kenya was instrumental in creating the Uprise Social Innovation Challenge that combines impact investing with a research-based social innovation challenge. Kenya is deeply engaged in the industry and serves on a wide variety of community boards and committees. Next up is Sloan Davidson. Sloan Davidson is the founder and CEO of Hello Neighbor, a Pittsburgh-based mentoring program that supports recently resettled refugee and immigrant families by matching them with dedicated neighbors to guide and support them in their new lives. Sloan was also founder and principal of Farsight Media, a social impact consultancy focused on strategic planning and program development for social enterprise companies and nonprofits. An active philanthropist and advocate, Sloan has raised to date over $3 million for nonprofits. She was named a top influencer at the 2010 Clinton Global Initiative and top woman to follow on Twitter by Forbes. Sloan was also named to the Dell Inspire 100, a list of leading influencers who use technology to empower and inspire others. And finally, Jasiri X. Jasiri X is the first independent hip-hop artist to be awarded an honorary doctorate, which he received from Chicago Theological Seminary in 2016. His music has been performed from the Smithsonian to the Apollo Theater, and he has discussed his views on hip-hop, race, and politics at leading institutions across the nation, including Harvard, the University of Chicago, New York University, Yale, and Stanford. Still, he remains rooted in the Pittsburgh-based organization he founded, One Hood Media, which teaches youth of color how to analyze and create media for themselves. Jasiri is a recipient of the USA Cummings Fellowship in Music, the Robert Rauschenberg Foundation Artist as Activist Fellowship, and the President's Volunteer Service Award, to name just a few. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our finalists. And it is my distinct pleasure to announce the winner of the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Individual Leadership Award to Jasiri X.
This is going to be short. Let me first start by thanking my wife, Celeste Smith. I probably should have did it last time. And to all the crew at One Hood, but again, it's an honor, to be given this award. As an artist, I'm somebody that's always tried to use my art and my gift to speak to the real issues of the time. I feel like as a young black man, I don't have the luxury to just do art for art's sake. I feel like I have a responsibility to really represent my community as an artist. And although I never met Dr. Martin Luther King, I've been blessed to be mentored for the last 10 years by one of his close friends, Harry Belafonte, who I feel is the premier artist activist of our time. And if you spend, any time with Harry Belafonte, he always talks about his mentor, Paul Robeson, who said, artists are the gatekeepers for truth. And so I've always tried to be an artist that spoke truth. Sometimes it might come across as harsh, or I might come across as angry, but sometimes the times call for that. But to say that, I laugh sometimes when, I tell people, like, if you just listen to my discography and music, you might walk away kind of angry or upset. But I'm an optimist. I mean, I really believe, even in the time that we're in right now, even with what we went through just as a Pittsburgh community last year, I really feel like we're winning. I feel like when I see young leaders like Leon stepping up and running for office, and hopefully he'll be my next councilman in my district. I'm really hopeful for the future. To see organizations like Coro and the work that we do. We just brought on a Coro fellow, Mariam, to our own organization that's helping us. So let's continue to support organizations like us that support these young people, and I truly believe that we're working towards a Pittsburgh that will be livable for not just a few, but for every citizen in the city. Thank y'all. Peace.
Real quick. Come on by yourself. I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask everyone to stand up now and give a big round of applause for all of our nominees and winners tonight. Please give them a big round of applause. They deserve it. And you can cheer too, like, woo! All right, you can do that. You can do that. There we go. They deserve it. Awesome energy and creativity. Thank you so much. What was that? Okay. All right, we're going to be switching gears for just a little bit right now, and I want to introduce a little bit of a story before we get into our guest, Trevor Miles. Some of you may know him, some of you may have seen him perform. He's a graduate of both the AmeriCorps Keys and the Coro Pittsburgh Public Allies program. He completed leg 2 of the Mr. Miles Tour, which began at the AmeriCorps 2017 National Leadership Institute in Minneapolis. Trevor was also awarded a $60K Heinz Endowment Teaching Artist Award, granting him a 2-year residency at the Ryan Arts Culture Center. That's just in the past. I'm going to tell you what Trevor's doing now in 2019, because this is pretty cool. He told me earlier, we were talking in the back, and this is why I love talking to different people, because you really get to hear what they're about to do. He's now going on his 2019 solo performance mode. So he's now, for the first time ever, doing a solo performance, 100% solo, going out on his own. So it's taking a leap of faith for him. And so he especially needs your support in 2019. October 25th, I know it's a little bit early, but you can put it in your calendar because we all have phones, right? October 25th will be his first one-man performance at Xylo 3 at Ryan Arts Center. Trevor C. Dance Collective, Trevor's personal dance project, continues touring across the city, bringing issues of color and the youth perspective to the forefront. Trevor is proud to present a movement moment for us this evening with the spoken word by When a Black Man Walks by Nael Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Trevor Miles.
It's like rhythm and meter got up off the page and decided to move and glide with spirit. You ever see a black man walk in the room, Mars Cole style, like keep tap dancing? I'm here. In those steps of messages, and you have to listen carefully. They trying to kill me, stop, search, and frisk me. There are prayers in a black man's walk. Don't let them shoot me down where I'm standing. Don't let the white chalk lines find me. Don't let me die in the streets like an animal. I'm a man, I swear I'm a man. When a black man walks, a whole generation lives to see another day, another sunrise, another mouth to feed, another seed, another sacrifice saved, another poem, another hungry burning cross, another mother breathing in her son's ear. Move easy, move quiet. Keep your head down, boy. It don't matter if you're 16 or 60. When a black man walks, he is always hunted. He is always animal. He is always standing out like a living corpse. He smells like a KKK appetizer. Nuggets of his own flesh, dipped in his own blood. Woo-wee! When a black man walks, he often finds white women walking closely behind him. But you can't blame a white sister for liking the way a black man walks. She understands some things and is cool with the fact that her babies will have nappy hair, even though she will not know how to comb it. When a black man walks, wait for it. Listen to the orchestra playing beneath his feet. Pay attention to the vibrations when he walks in a room. See how many faces change for fear in the presence of a black man. See how many women hold their purse so tightly their fingers grow numb. See how many men hide their eyes wishing the darkness would go away. Maybe choke itself to death. That ugly 2/3 human being, that next to nothing black dot, that useless prison black spot. When a black man walks, every day he is like Jesus, paranoid of crucifixion. Every day he is like Trayvon, knowing that his hoodie had nothing to do with his last breath. If only bullets could kill racism, poverty, and the traumas of slavery. You pay attention when a black man walks. You listen when a black man walks. His feet have a mind of their own, a compass, a homing device. 400 years of directions. Find your way home safely. Don't let Jim Crow steal your soul. Don't let gentrification lose your memory. Don't let police brutality castrate you. Do what your mama said do. Run, run, run. When their teeth are already covered in blood, do what your mama said do. Run, run, run. When a black man walks, he ain't got time to walk. Death is always like, black men are the easiest to find. They are the strongest but the most fragile. They are the calm and the storm. They die like they expect to. When a black man walks, think of it as a masterpiece. A beautiful song that you may only hear once. Cherish it. You may never hear it again.
another round of applause for Trevor Miles. Wow, that was impressive. And the way you can look him up, if you want to book him, if you want to support him. Again, I mentioned 2019, he's going solo. It's a big leap of faith for him. He talked about how he's been working with youth for the past 10 years. This is now his way of stepping out and doing something on his own completely. So trevorcdance.com, you got that? trevorcdance.com, that's how you can get in touch with Trevor. Okay. Are you guys having a good time? Enjoying the evening? So I told Sabrina that I just wanted about a minute or two just to speak with you guys for a quick second, because I've been getting a lot of questions in the back about what I've been up to these past several months, because you may not have noticed, or you may have noticed, that I'm not on TV here in Pittsburgh, but I am still using my voice. I'm now an international speaker and coach. What does that mean? What do? I help you discover, craft, and deliver your compelling story so that you can stand out in the crowd, so that you can actually pull people into your mission. You can have that high impact that you want to have, and you can feel like you're delivering with power. We saw that with some of the speakers here tonight. They're passionate about their mission. So how can we really effectively communicate, right? Because it's the language that we use that really leads to what people perceive as the value of what we're offering. Communication matters, and our story matters. And I want to help you with your story. So I have created this power story formula. It's my checklist. It's a way for you to stay connected with me if you choose to, and it's also a way for you to learn this breakdown of my power story. P is for positioning, because guess what? If you want to be a leader, you have to know about how you're positioning yourself. If you're not calling yourself an expert, don't expect anyone else to, right? If you're not calling yourself an expert, don't expect anyone else to. How we identify ourselves, what we call ourselves, we're putting that out there to the universe. You can call it woo-woo if you want to, but it's true. You have to own your strength and your power and what you're doing. And we know, just looking at and hearing the organizations tonight, that there's a lot of power in what people are doing. Now the next leg is communicating that so that you attract people who now want to support you. So P is for positioning, O is for, in my power story formula, outlining your structure. Nothing is worse than no structure when you're doing a keynote or you're doing a presentation. Nothing is worse than no structure, because when we have no structure, guess what happens? People can't follow us. People can't understand where we're going next. We have to transport them. We have to tell them where we're taking them. We have to link the bridge. But too often, folks are speaking and there's no bridge. We have not connected where the destination is that we're taking them. So they tune out and they go on their phones and they do their own thing. Nobody's on their phone right now, I hope. But if you are, here's what you're gonna do. Pull out your phone if you want to stay connected and learn the W-E-R of my power story formula. So I told you the P, told you the O. We don't have too much time tonight to get into all of it. The W-E-R, talking about messaging and engaging your audience. You'll text power story, all caps, no spaces, to 44222. And you will get a breakdown of my power story formula checklist. So you'll text power story, all caps, no spaces, to 44222. You'll enter your email, and then you'll press send, and you will get the checklist in your email. It's also a way for us to stay connected if you have questions about public speaking and storytelling and messaging as you continue all of the great work that you are doing here in the city of Pittsburgh. Now, without further ado, I want to bring back Sabrina to the stage as we continue the evening. Thank you so much for your time.
So we're celebrating tonight, right? Some of you still may have some champagne, but if you don't, whatever beverage you may have, I just wanted to take a moment in this night of celebration to toast to this wonderful organization that I've been blessed to lead. So if you could please raise your glass to 20 years and to 20 more of us finding ways to find comfort in uncomfortable situations, to lead across difference, and to change our communities for the better. To leading across Pittsburgh, to the Coro Center for Civic Leadership. Cheers. Cheers.
to congratulate each of the night's finalists and winners. And remember, you can support the work of Coro Pittsburgh through a Q Reader donation. Remember, it's right there at your table with your cell phone. Can you guys raise it up for me so that everyone sees it, this Q Reader? Okay, so make sure that you do that camera thing with it, you know, the little selfie thing that Sabrina was talking about. For those who are still interested, by the way, before you get up, in giving the raffle one more shot, the raffle will close in 15 minutes. How many minutes? 15. Okay, there's some good stuff back there. Winners will be displayed on the television screen, and then you can get your items by going to the registration area. On behalf of the Coro Center for Civic Leadership, I would like to thank you for attending the 20th Anniversary Gala and 12th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Awards. We invite you to enjoy the dessert reception, and of course the music provided by DJ Shu. Give it up for DJ Shu, he was rocking. He was rocking really earlier. So enjoy yourselves, I'll be at the back of the room. Don't forget the raffle, and don't forget your Q Reader. Thank you so much, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for allowing me to be your host tonight.